This is what I hear most often underneath what my clients are telling me when we first start working together. They say, I'm burnt out, or my clients are draining me, or I've lost my why, or that they feel stuck, but they don't know why. And every single time I nod, I listen, I take it all in, but then I ask them one question. What's the story you're telling it yourself about why this is happening? Because here's what I know after years of doing this work: the burnout, the wrong clients, the lost purpose, the stuckness, they're not the problem. They're actually a symptom. And if you keep treating the symptom, you'll keep getting sick. So today I want to talk about what's actually going on. And I promise you, it's not what you think. Most entrepreneurs who come to me have already tried to fix the problem. Maybe they've restructured their offers, raised their prices, set new boundaries. They've taken a vacation, hired a VA, tried a new morning routine, downloaded another productivity app, and things improve for a little while. And then somehow, some way, they end up right back where they started. Different circumstances, but the same feeling: burnt out again, drained again, and disconnected from their purpose again. And they're wondering, what is wrong with me? That last part, the "what is wrong with me," is usually said on the inside. It's like they're embarrassed to admit that they keep ending up there. And I want to stop right there because that question, "what is wrong with me," is actually the most important thing they've said. Not because something is wrong with them, but because they've finally asked about themselves instead of their circumstances. That's the beginning of this real work. Here's where self sabotage actually is, because it's not burnout. Burnout is what happens after self sabotage has been running the show for too long. It's not draining clients. Your draining clients are what happen after the beliefs that you hold about your own worth dictate who you say yes and no to. It's not about losing your why. Losing your why is what happens when you've been operating from someone else's definition of success for so long that you've actually disconnected from your own. Self sabotage is not what you're doing, it is what you're thinking. It lives between your ears, not in your calendar, not in your client roster, not in your revenue, and not in your industry. It's the voice that says you're not ready, that says, who are you to charge that? That says if you rest, everything will fall apart. It's what says you have to earn your worth before you can claim it. That says the people you admire have something that you don't, and you probably never will have. That is self sabotage. And here's the part that makes it so hard: it sounds completely reasonable. It sounds like logic. It sounds like self awareness. It sounds like you're just being realistic. And that's exactly why it keeps working. So let me walk you through what I actually see happening, because this shows up in different ways depending on the person. But I find the root is always one of three things. The first is a worth story. So this client works incredibly hard. They're talented, knowledgeable, genuinely excellent at what they do, but underneath all of that activity is a quiet, persistent belief that they haven't quite earned it yet. That success is something that has to be justified. That if they slow down, if they rest, if they charge more, if they take up more space, somehow the whole thing will be exposed as a fraud. So they keep busy, they continue to undercharge, they overdeliver and exhaust themselves in the service of a standard that they can never quite meet because the goalpost is attached to a belief, not a result. The second is an old story about who they're allowed to be. So this one's sneakier. This is the client who's done a lot of work on themselves. They're self aware, they've read the books, they believe in the mindset work, but they're still operating from a script that was written a long time ago, maybe by a parent, a teacher, an ex, an industry, or a culture. A script that told them what kind of person that they are, what they're capable of, what they deserve. And even though they consciously disagree with that script, they're still following it. Because your subconscious mind doesn't care about what you know, it cares about what it believes. And the third gap is an identity gap. And this is my favorite one to work on, honestly. This is the client that's growing fast. Their business is scaling, their results are undeniable, and people around them can see it clearly. But internally, they haven't caught up yet. Their identity, this deeply held sense of who they are, is still the version of them from 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. So every time they try to show up at the level that they're actually at, something pulls them back. Maybe it feels uncomfortable or unsafe or like they're pretending. That discomfort is not a sign that they're going in the wrong direction. It's a sign that their identity hasn't caught up to their growth yet. And until it does, they will keep unconsciously leveling back down to where it's familiar. So these are three different clients, three different stories. But here's the thing that every single one of them has in common: the common denominator is not the industry, it's not the economy, it's not their clients, it's not their team, it's not their schedule. It's them, their thoughts, their belief, and the inner narrative that's running in the background, making decisions before they've consciously even made a single one. The moment they see that and truly see that, that's when everything shifts. Because there's a moment that I watch happen in coaching and I never get tired of it. And it's when someone goes quiet, they have that awareness. It's a realization quiet. They finally can look at a pattern that they've had for years and suddenly they see themselves in it. And when they stop describing what's happening to them and start seeing what they've been doing, not intentionally, not maliciously, but consistently, when they realize, oh, I'm the common denominator, that moment, it's not about blame, it's actually about power. And we celebrate that awareness. Because if you're the one creating the pattern, even unconsciously, then guess what? You're the one who can also change it. The problem being inside you is actually the best possible news because it means the solution is inside of you too. You don't need different clients. You don't need different clients. You just need a different story about what you're worth so you stop attracting the wrong clients. You don't need a new business model. You need to update the identity running the old one. You don't need to find your why again. You need to stop living out everyone else's. The doing will follow the thinking. It always does, which means the thinking is where the work starts. So if you've been trying to fix the outside, the strategy, the structures, the systems, and you keep ending up back at the same place, this is your sign. The pattern isn't out there, it's in here. And that's not a problem, it's actually a doorway. So if this resonated with you, I'd love to know. Drop a comment below. Tell me which one landed close to home for you. Was it the worth story, the old script story, maybe the identity gap? You can also watch this next video that talks more about the worth story that I call your invisible ceiling, and that's linked in the description. So, if you're ready to actually do this work and find the thought patterns underneath the patterns that you can see, make sure you subscribe. Check out the links in the description. I have a great freebie in there that you will definitely enjoy because this is exactly what we talk about here, and we will continue to do so.